Am I wrong for getting my aunt and uncle kicked out of their house, for not letting my husband and I sleep together? I'm married to a man. He is the love of my life. I had only ever dated women before him, but when I met him, I realized I was bi, and we fell in love. We got married in the fall of 2018, so it's been almost 4 years. My whole family is from a small town in Texas, a super conservative Catholic area. I was raised here, but Dad got a job in New York City when I was 15. The culture shock was difficult. We went from living in rural Texas to living in an apartment in Manhattan. My parents didn't sell our house in Texas. They allowed our aunt and uncle, who just had their third child, to move in while charging them a small rent. In college, when I came out as bi, my brother and dad were very supportive. My mom needed some time to accept it. The rest of my family reacted poorly at first, but came around. During visits, we stayed with my aunt and uncle at my old house, but because we weren't married, we weren't allowed to share a bed. We didn't argue, we both would rather make peace. Visiting scenes instead of staying with my aunt and uncle, we will rent a motel room. During COVID, we did not visit them. But this summer, my parents and bro decided to go visit my hometown again for 2 weeks and invited my husband and I. I wanted a motel again, but my aunt and uncle insisted my brother, husband, and I stay with them. The first night sleeping situation was being discussed after my cousins went to bed. My aunt and uncle wanted me and bro to take the spare bedroom, husband on couch. All three of us took issue with that. They snapped that we were not really married because we were gay, and that they had children in the house. They say that if I will be in bad influence on their kids. This hurt my husband's feelings, and he started crying and ran out of the room. When my husband ran out, my uncle had the audacity to start laughing. That's when I saw red. I started cussing them out so loudly that my young cousins came to investigate. I told them that if they didn't go apologize to my husband immediately, then I was going to tell my dad what just happened. And I was going to make sure to have them kicked out of the house. That was still in my parents' name. My bro seconded everything that I was saying. They started backtracking and saying that we were still welcome in their house, but that we had to follow their rules. I responded that it was really their house. I told them they were going to be homeless if I had my way. So the kids started crying because they heard me saying that we're all going to be homeless. So we left. My husband was on the porch crying. I promised him that I would never subject him to that again. I told Daddy what's happened. To say that my dad was angry would be an understatement. He served them a notice of eviction for 60 days. I have been getting calls and texts on Facebook messages from my family calling me a bad guy. I want to know, am I wrong for allowing my young cousins to end up homeless? Is it fair that they have to pay for what my aunt and uncle say to me and my husband? No, you're right. They insisted a hotel was not needed, and they decided to disregard your marriage. The whole not married so separate rooms things was clearly an excuse before as well. It's entirely your father's decision who to let the house to, and you're within your rights to tell him what happened. Just because he reacted as you expected him to doesn't make you an wrong person. No, you don't. They played a cruel and stupid game and won a stupid prize. They insisted you and Hobby stay exactly so they could do this. You told your father and he acted as he wanted. Any family that doesn't want them homeless can take them in. I mean, they haven't been defecating from cheap rent from that 12 years. They should have taken that time to save for a house or something. Maybe your dad just used this as an excuse to kick out a freeloading sibling and their family. And if their financial situation is such that it will truly leave them homeless, then they should be smart enough not to be cruel to you. No, I'm assuming your aunt and uncle sleep in separate beds and they are children in the house, right? They insisted on your staying, but had the audacity to insult their guests and separate the marriage couple. Am I wrong for giving my stepdaughter the best room out of all our kids? My husband and I are moving into our dream house. We have 4 children. My stepdaughter Ella and daughter Jane, our son Sam, and our daughter Luna. It's a 6-bedroom home with a master, our bedroom of course, 2 rooms with attached bathrooms and 3 normal bedrooms. The plan was one of the rooms will be bathroom attached to be a guest room and the other to be Ella's room. Jane, Sam, and Luna would each get one of the normal rooms. We told the kids to decide their room depth or decor style so we can finish decorating and move in. Jay was under the impression that she and Ella will be getting the 2 rooms with the bathrooms. We let her know one of these will be guest rooms, and since Ella is the oldest, she deserves the other one, so she can have the privacy and space she needs. Jane thinks this isn't fair. She tried to convince us to give her the guest bedroom, but we feel that guests should have the comfortability of their own bathroom. There is also a bathroom right by Jane's room that will be hers, that she can decorate how she wants, can be her own bathroom, it's just not attached. Sam and Luna will share a bathroom. She then brought up that Ella is only here even other week, so the room is just sitting there for days at a time. We said that did not matter, and she still deserves the room because of her age, and when she leaves for school or college, they can switch. Jane was not being handling this well, and few family members she's spoken to think I'm putting someone else's child over my own, but I've been raising Ella since she was a baby. Jane has struggled with some jealousy over Ella's 2 birthday parties, and some other things she gets double. Her mom is high conflict, so we all have minimal contact with her and do things separately. I'm torn. Jane and Ella usually get along great, and her jealousy hasn't gotten this bad before. Are we handling this all wrong? And also, to clarify, Jane still has her own bathroom she can decorate however she wants, that nobody else will use. It's just not attached to her room. Her issue is she wants it to be attached to her room. She still has a walk-in closet and lots of space. Her bathroom is right next to her room and nobody else will use it. The 2 younger children will share a bathroom. Ella leaves for college in less than 2 years and will then switch rooms with Jane. She will have her own room with an attached bathroom when she is 13, just in time for her teenage years. We do have guests often, especially in the summer. It's not super rare and hypothetical. And yes, we have guests often, including their grandparents who have a hard time getting around sometimes. They come by pretty frequently to hang with the kids, take care of the younger kids. So Jane is also 11. She doesn't need an ensuite bathroom more than adult guests. She still has a private bathroom and will have an ensuite at the 13, which she does not need once Ella leaves for school. I don't want to raise brats and feel that if she cannot accept a private bathroom that's not attached to her room for 2 years until her sister moves out, maybe she doesn't deserve the ensuite in the first place. But I do agree with some people under here who have stated it more than the room, and I have addressed that with her, put her in a therapy to work through her blended family feelings. She loves Ella. They get along great. She just gets jealous sometimes because Ella gets 2 birthdays, 2 celebration dinners if she achieved something, 2 Christmases, and etc. We'll try to do extra things with her to balance it out, but there still is a level of understanding she's going to have that we come with misery. That Ella, life is a lot more complicated, and she deals with a lot when it comes to her mother living split between 2 homes. The double celebration are one perk to a tough, messy situation for Ella. And I'm absolutely mind-boggled by the number of people upset that the oldest child gets a better room. That's the way my family and every family's home I've visited sets things up. Then when the oldest kid leaves, the next oldest gets the room. That is perfectly fair, and it's disgusting the number of people who are saying the 16-year-old doesn't deserve the big room because she's not related to OP by blood. This is a fair system. Yes, you're right. At some point, kids have to realize that having enough doesn't mean getting everything. Jane has her own room and her own bathroom. That she, what? Has the cross a halfway for? Walk a few feet for, holy crap. That's far more than enough. That's wonderful. And she get dips on the EN suite with Jane goes to college in 2 years. Again, far more than enough. Jane is immensely privileged, and you and your husband reinforcing that there's any sort of deprivation is nuts and feeding the narrative. Beyond that, it's your house. If you want to teach your kids that, yes, get a certain amount of your generosity. That's your call. Again, none of your kids is actually going without. You're entitled to make prioritization beyond and not giving to foot stomping. So Jane is 11. She doesn't need her own room with a bathroom attached. You're absolutely right that Ella is older and therefore gets the big room. When she's 13, assuming your children goes to college and lives in a dorm or something, she'll have the room she wants. It's not a big deal for her to wait. Am I wrong for telling my sister the truth about why I moved out the day I turned 18? When I was 10, my parents divorced. My father was so mean in the way he spoke to my mom. He always made her do all the housework and difficult parenting. But we'll swoop it to be the fun parent and apologize to my sibling and I for her behavior. If I'm honest, for a while I believed all the things he said about my mom, and I hated her for years. I still feel so guilty about it too. My father's friend was my mother's boss at the time of their separation. I don't know if my dad got my fired, but I assume he did because she lost her job the day after she left him. He made more money than she did. His name was on the house. He knew she didn't have the resources to dispute him. So he drove the process out for long as possible until my mom ended up homeless and living in her car. She lost custody of 3 of us and had to move to another state to stay with her sister because she couldn't find work here without an address. He cut her off from us, and we didn't talk for years. As soon as my mom was gone, my dad began treating me that the way he had treated her. It was a total switch from the man I had grown up with. All of a sudden it was like he hated me. It took that total 180 degrees for me to realize what had happened between him and my mom. I pieced together everything over the next few years. Went through some documents from the divorce that confirmed what I suspected. By the time I was 16, I started saving money to move out as soon as possible, and at the midnight on my 18th birthday, I took my things and left. I later reconnected with my mom too. I've done pretty well for myself after leaving. I have a job, an apartment, and baby. I'm happy with my life. My sister contacted me a few days ago. She had turned 18 and she wanted to see me. We met at the park and talked for a while. When she asked me why I left, I tried to lie and come up with a better answer, but she kept pressing, so I told her the truth. All of it, not sparing the details. She didn't respond well to it. She told me our dad would have never done these things, that our mom was the problem. She said she didn't believe me about any of it, and then she stormed off. I told mom what's happened, and she said that I shouldn't have told my sister at all. She thinks it wasn't fair for me to shatter her reality like that, because she's just a kid and our dad is still here for her. I know what it's like to have that reality-shattering moment, but she asked for the truth. Was it wrong to give it to her? You're right. She insisted that he'd tell her the real reason why you left. She's technically an adult. She should have expected the answer to be unpleasant, because why would you have left the minute you could otherwise? You did nothing wrong. Your mother is wrong, but not a bad person. I imagine what she went through. So, by the way, I understand and appreciate why you feel guilt for believing your father. However, for what it's worth, you were an actual kid being manipulated by your father. That doesn't make things better for how your mother might feel, but it wasn't your fault. It's not your fault. Abusers are great at being wonderful to some people and awful to others. So the people they kind to never believe the abuse is happening. It's another form of abuse, a way to make the victim seem like a liar. You're right. She wanted to know why, and you told her. She had to suspect something was wrong for you to live the way you did. She might have stormed off because she's starting to realize the same things herself. Am I wrong for telling my sister I hope she never has kids? I'm 22. I have 3 twin boys, and I had a baby girl not even 2 days ago. My sister Judy is 34 and has been suffering with infertility for the past 10 years, as well as repeated miscarriages. I used to feel really bad for her, and also feel guilty as I got pregnant twice while being on contraception. It caused some tension between us when I was pregnant with my twins because she was jealous, and I was already feeling intense guilt. This time around, she wasn't as jealous, but I still felt it was unfair. As my husband and I have decided we're done having kids, I offered to be a surrogate for my sister as soon as I'm cleaned off this baby, and she seems like she was absolutely over the moon with that. It turns she offered to watch the twins while I was in labor with my new baby, which was a relief of my part. I went into labor on Thursday morning, and Judy came over to watch the kids while my husband and I went to the hospital. She seemed like she was in a great mood and promptly rushed us out the door. Everything seems fine until we got home this morning to find thousands worth of destruction to pretty much every baby item we have purchased. Even the crib mattress was torn open. Everything was ruined. Judy tried to pin it on the twins, but they are 3, and this level of destruction had to be done by an adult. My twins can't even reach some of the stuff that was destroyed. And they certainly do not know how to open deeper packages and just tear them apart. I know kids, especially toddlers, can do a lot of damage in a short time, but I also know my children aren't capable to doing what happened. I told my sister to get off my home and stay away from me and my family. I got really angry and I said a lot of stuff I shouldn't have. But one of them was, I hope you never have a child. And if you do, then I'll tell it exactly what you've done to mine. I told her we can't afford to fix the damage she caused. But since she still denies it, she wants caught up. I told her because of her the baby doesn't even have a safe space to sleep. My parents caught the wind of what I said. And even after I explained the situation, they still think I'm being so rude for saying something so wild to my sister after all she's done for us. Obviously, my judgment is clouded. So, am I wrong? You're right. Your sister flew into a jealous rage when faced with all the things she wants and doesn't have. Can you imagine how terrifying that was for your twins? Wow. Poor babies. Not at all. You might want to call the police and at least get a report for the destruction of property if it isn't too late. Then you can file an insurance claim. You realize that your children aren't safe around your sister, right? She needs help, immediate help. Are you parents aware that their daughter destroyed their grandchild's bed? And clothing? And diapers? She didn't even bother to clean it up or anything. Says wanted up and her husband to see this. And that's really the most concerning things to me. It's not a, hey, I had a moment and destroyed a couple packs of diapers, I cleaned it up, I'm sorry, and I'll have them replaced right now, this weekend, payday. She destroyed everything and left the devastation for Opie to walk it on. When she shall be having that special moment of bringing her new baby home from the hospital, she's intentionally ruined that. She's crazy. Seriously.